We are on FilmsGoneWild.com. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of FilmsGoneWild, and we are currently in Austin, the Indie Film Festival, South Asian Film Festival based in Austin. We're at the AFS Cinema, and we got people loading up here to see films. But right now we're going to talk about a film that I have seen. I'm a big fan of. Rachel, introduce yourself.
My name is Rachel Immaraj. Thank you so much for having me, John. I'm a director and producer of An Unquiet Mind.
That's right. And our audience has not seen this. But yes, your film really does wonderfully thorough examination of OCD. And what I love about it is that, I mean, that's a lot of I've already started bragging about your film. But one of the things I love about it is that you give us a couple people. It's a very personal examination of what their version of it is. But you also give us the experts that come in and tell us, and because whenever I watch documentaries like this, I go, it can be painfully academic. I mean, this is information you want, information you need, but if you don't approach it the right way, you can also put us to sleep. And you do not do that, to your credit. And so I would love for you to talk about how you built the architecture. Because I think you did it very well. But talk about your method.
Thank you, John. It seems to be over a filmmaker. And it's a very analytical question of how we do things. And I think with documentary filmmaking, it's nowadays with a lot of larger documentary series coming out, there's a very specific you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
It's very curated, and I think one thing that we don't see a lot of nowadays is talking heads. And in our documentary, you can see
well, because I mean, when you're talking about documentaries, you're kind of being disparaging if you go to talking head doc. You know, oh God, right? You know, and you're right, you still need them. And so the question is, okay, well then how do I do that without, and how you set up chapters? You do it in a couple different ways. You literally tell us what cities we're in, you know, with our various subjects. You also, and this I love, because, and I was just telling someone, I told like 2 or 3 people, I just saw the movie today, and I said, you know, that he's talking, you go, you know, OCD can be annoying. And then a little bit later you go, OCD can be threatening. And then a little bit later, OCD can be life-threatening. And you step us up gradually, but you do it through chapters, kind of. So talk about that. And here's the thing too. I thought about how I would cast this because I kind of viewed it as a spoiler. But I think it's so important, and I think it's also wonderful for you as a filmmaker. You're your own subject in this film as well. And but you don't reveal that immediately, kind of, right? You kind of, you know, you hear your voiceover a little bit, but you don't really come clean until later on, which I think is, again, storytelling-wise, I think so goddamn smart. So talk about, again, how you led us down the path to how little serious OCD is.
Yeah, so I think that storytelling 101 is you have your characters or your participants in a documentary, you have exposition, you have the conflict and the stakes and the climax of the movie and the resolution of the ending, and I think it's one of the documentary tragedy that's really but I think at the end of the day, there's still like story 101 pieces. And what was really interesting with our film was trying to figure out like how we're going to tell the story. And I think we got really lucky with Natasha and Victor, the 2 singers that are participating in the documentary, because they're very engaging, they're very compelling, they speak, they're so they're such prolific speakers. And so I think both of them are natural storytellers. And I knew that, you know, with OCD and any sort of mental health illness, or really any illness, there's never a climax, there's never a resolution, there's always ups and downs. And so I think the challenging part was being able to tell their story of their mental illness journey in that 3-act structure, but then still also be true to the fact that there's a resolution, but there's also not a resolution. You know, like you never know, we don't know what's going to happen in their lives. We don't know what's going to happen in my life either. And so I think it was a lot of, you know, in my room, because I was one of the editors for the documentary, I had a bunch of different index cards that were all like different colors, and I had like the intro, the climax, and I was just moving things around, moving bits of dialogue around. I mean, editing documentaries is such a feat, and we had 20 hours of footage being shot, which is very small compared to a lot of it's still significant, but it's, you know.
But yes, but you know, you talk to filmmakers who've got 5 terabytes,
yeah.
You know, right? And, you know, they go, I could have had a 12-hour miniseries, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So relatively speaking, we were obviously efficient.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, you know, we actually started this as short. We wanted to make a short documentary, but I think the fact is that OCD is very nuanced, and we brought it back to something that was earlier. And my editor in the beginning was like, you know, maybe we don't include that. Maybe we make this more of a portrait documentary where we have just the stories of Natasha and Vinny. But I do think that with these types of OCD, because it's stigmatized, it's important to have a psychologist kind of explaining these types of OCD.
Well, one, I just want to say that also on the visual storytelling, I really like one shot in particular. You have a shot of Natasha hiding in it. Right, which is something that, you know, a lot of people, you know, that they have to do this on the OCD thing, and you know, because in their head they're like, no, I need to make sure that, and so giving us that visual cue helps a ton. Here's the other thing I think also what I think is spot on about our two subjects. As you say, they're both very entertainingly well spoken. They're not just articulate.
Yes.
They're charismatic.
Yes.
And you know, and they're the kind of people that you go, oh, he's a smart guy. He's walking and talking. He could sell the Brooklyn Bridge, right? You know, and she, you know, she's a gorgeous mom, and you know, and which I think is so important, because if you're on the outside of this and you look in, you go, they're fine.
Yeah.
Look at it. She's got the kids, she's got the great husband, she's got, you know, whatever, and you go, she's fighting. Every day she's fighting. And you know, you may not see it until she's talking around, and she actually, you know, comes to tears, or she's actually, like, you know, having those moments of contemplating. You go, yeah, you don't see it because just seeing her in a grocery store, you go, well, she's got it going on.
Right.
Or you see him, you know, at the bar, and you go, well, you know, he's in good shape. Right? Which again, I think is so important for a film like this, and which again brings me to you, because you're like, I'm navigating you through the story, and this wasn't by any accident. There's a reason why I wanted to tell a story, and why I like. But it's always tricky when you're the filmmaker and you turn the camera on yourself and you allow yourself in. Talk about that. Talk about the angst. Talk about your decision to do it. Talk about it.
I hate being in front of the camera. Can we turn this off? I primarily actually work as a set dresser and a set decorator in the set decoration department for narrative. And so I'm very used to being behind the camera. I love being on crews. And so with a documentary, it was a story that was so important to me. Obviously, and like very personal. And I'm never going to make a documentary that feels this personal. I mean, maybe I will, but I don't think so. And I think it just kind of felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to share, you know, what I've been through and make it valuable and make it worth it. I think there was a lot of back and forth between me and my producer. He was definitely more of like a creative producer, just because he helped so much with the edit. You know, we would watch a rough cut and then we would go back and forth and kind of go through every millisecond of like, is this guy right? Is this guy right? And so he was super helpful with that. And we went back and forth a lot of like, should we include my story in it or not? And I really didn't want to make the documentary about me, but you're absolutely right in terms of, you know, flirting in the beginning of the story with having my voiceover. Sometimes we hear me in the background, and then I wanted it to be more of a reveal of like, oh, the director of this documentary, she herself has OCD, and this is how it affected her life. you know, a lot of people might not like that. There are some people who watch documentaries and they don't like it when the director inserts themselves, but it just felt right.
But I think for you though, and you know, it's like, again, I mean, I'm a co-host of a documentary podcast, Fog of Truth, so I'm watching a lot of documentaries because of that, and you know, I'm a film festival guy, so you know, I'm always watching stuff. And for myself, there's a big difference between, oh, you couldn't help but turn the camera on yourself because you got the parakeet syndrome. You couldn't help it.
The what syndrome?
Parakeet syndrome, right? You want to peck at your reflection, right? And you know, a big difference between that and what you have happening here, right? And when you go, okay, again, even if you're part of the story, you don't necessarily need to be in this damn thing. But if you've lived through this, and you know, and you've processed and you've gone through these things, you go, well, no, you have a very real insight and a very real, like your DNA is under the frame, right? So some hard ass like me, who normally would be very critical, is going to be fair. Yeah. Right. Here's my last question. While this movie isn't expressly a call to action film, there is an element to that, and which means that that the film could be used as a leaping off point. You have not just you doing Q&A, but you could have a panel of people like building out at film festivals like Indie or you could do that. You could take it to organizations and go, use my film, and then talk about it afterwards, what have you. So my question, and I love talking to filmmakers about this, is going, are you okay with that? Did you want that? Are you going to embrace that, or you're going, I kind of have to now. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because our documentary feels it's an educational piece, but it's also a documentary, and I can't help but want to be artistic and creative and weird with it. There's some things about it that are just a little weird. And so I think the artistic part of me is like, it's a documentary, just put it out in the world and see where it goes. But then, the purpose and the passion behind it is because I was in a place where I was ready to not exist in this world anymore, and to kind of not use the film for the purpose of helping other people would feel like, I don't want to say a waste, but it would feel like a wasted opportunity, I think. And I think that's the power of filmmaking, no matter if it's a narrative or a documentary or whatever, experimental film. Like, movies just have the power to influence people's minds and create change. And so I'm really excited about partnering with organizations. We've partnered with Good Docs, so we have educational distribution through them. And so just really using this movie to make an impact on the world, I'm very excited about that.
Well, you should be. It's a damn good film. Again, a screening at Indie Meme Film Festival, the South Asian Film Festival here in Austin. Again, congratulations.
Thank you, John.